Welcome to What to Do When, a podcast from real lawyers with real perspective, where we explore a variety of legal issues and scenarios. Each week, we focus on a new topic and discuss what to do when and if any of these legal scenarios ever happen to you or a loved one. With over 40 years of combined legal experience, our hosts offer their unique perspectives and insights on a range of real-life legal situations.
Hi, welcome back to another podcast with Critzer, Cardani. I'm Jackie.
I'm Scott.
We're coming at you from Richmond, Virginia.
What's on the docket for today, Jackie?
Well, it's not really a legal issue, but today we're focused on what to do when natural disaster strikes and you want to help.
So, what do we do when we want to help?
There's so many ways to help, and I know that we've participated in Central Virginia Coalition to help with the flooding in Louisiana, not for Katrina, but more recent than that in the last 5 or 7 years, because it's hard to sit back and watch, and people, people want to help. You see it on the news because you see the worst of the worst on the news, and you want to go help. And if there are people who are trapped and need help getting out, it's just this, we want to go and help. So the first thing you can do is, if you're not already involved with a search and rescue team, let the search and rescue teams do their jobs. There are protocols in place. There are groups in place that are designed to go and to respond to situations like this, to do search and rescue. Importantly, what we know is that water rescue is very different than land rescue. And so there are people who are specially trained in the water rescue, and for various reasons, right? There's debris in the water. There are toxins in the water.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just don't know what you're dealing with. And honestly, when you're there and you don't have the skill set, you really become, honestly, in the way sometimes to the people who have the skill set. And I mean, trust me, I have seen the volunteers in the past who had their boat and was getting people out. And I mean, we're not talking about that. We're talking like us here in Virginia, and we want to go down to Florida and help. And how much help can we really be? So that's really, really important to think about, is how can I best serve? My heart is to go get in the water and find people.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Another thing you want to do is team with an organization that's well established, not a new one. So, for example, Salvation Army or the Red Cross. I know the Red Cross has search and rescue teams that have already deployed. Some of them even left from Virginia. So you want to partner with them. That doesn't mean necessarily, if you're not already trained, going with them now, but maybe you can become part of a future rescue effort, or find a way to support the organizations that are well established, whether it's providing the necessities. These poor folks, they don't need clothes, right? We've learned clothes are really not something that they need. They need toothbrushes and toothpaste and laundry detergent, and they need just soap and hand sanitizer and ways to clean themselves, and food and water. So if you are looking for a way to get involved right now, and you're not already part of these organizations, go ahead and contact the Red Cross, Salvation Army. There are probably a lot of churches. Samaritan's Purse. They're God's Pit Crew. They send people. Yep. There's a group advertising right now. I think they're called 516, and so look into them. So it's important, if you want to donate things or try to help give things that either first responders need or survivors or victims need, whether they're displaced or they're even in their homes, right? They still don't have clean running water. So there are things that you can do that way, but you need to reach out to those organizations. And we'll talk about what not to do in a couple minutes, but these are so far what to do. Let search and rescue do their job. Find an organization that you know is established, that you can either volunteer time, effort, money, or things.
Yeah. And it may be here. Like, a lot of these companies are loading up trucks here, getting ready to send down. You can be part of that process and be very helpful. If you are more the physical kind of person, there's lots of things you can do. But remember, the people there on the ground know what needs to be done. We can't, even if we get the best news coverage in the world, we really don't know what they need, like Jackie's thing. We're sending them a pair of jeans when they really need a cup of cold water kind of thing, and it's just, so really, it is really good to partner financially. And I know that the governor was given a lot of different things, and pretty soon South Carolina might be in a place where they need some help. And, so we don't know what's going on, but sometimes there are so many people in these situations who take advantage, and they'll set up
Yes.
little 501c or something, and people donate and they get ripped off and they never see a return on investment and their money went nowhere. So just be careful of that. We just want you to be mindful that there are ways to help. But like Jackie said, I know the state of Florida had a couple different organizations. I wish I would have remembered them, but they were saying, please donate here. This will help us, versus, Joe's, whatever. I mean, but it shows up everywhere, and, they're just shysters all the time, unfortunately. And, we're just trying to make sure you're cautioned against that. It's like the person will call you on the phone and say, hey, my brother was stuck, or, your son was stuck, or, all these phone calls that happen trying to swindle money. It's going to be big right now. There's going to be a lot of people calling you to swindle money. They'll say they're the Red Cross. They'll say they're somewhere else. So just really check the source. Really be careful of taking calls. Really be careful of giving money over the phone to somebody who calls you, especially. Be the initiator of the call. Find the organization you want to get to. And even when you check it on the internet, make sure you're getting something. You can sometimes just ask them questions. Well, what do you do? And you'll find out real quick if they really know what they're doing or they're just some scam operation.
Well, that's absolutely right. So the third thing, Scott's already talking about the money. Money makes the world go round. We all know. Yeah. And if you know folks who are down there, like I have family in the Port Charlotte, Inglewood area, who we found out today are doing fine, thankfully. Whew, what a relief. But if you know people down there who need help, gather money for them instead of sending money to some organization that has solicited you. Definitely check your source. Do not respond to emails or phone calls that are asking for money. Do not do it. You want to donate to the Red Cross? You want to donate to some of these great organizations who really thrive on donations? Great, but go directly to their website, and even then, make sure you're not on a phishing website, right? That's trying to get your information and trying to be a clone of the real website. Just be very, very cautious. In fact, I spoke with some good friends of ours today, and one of the things they cautioned was the money. And the best thing you can do is, if you know people, reach out to your immediate network and just say, hey, I've got family down there and they lost their home, or they lost half their home, or whatever the case may be. And I'm just collecting for them. If you have a way, if you can donate money, because you don't want to collect things that have to be mailed.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's important. Don't necessarily, I wouldn't say, oh, my dad needs, kitty litter for their cats and they need supplies, because I can't get it there.
Yeah.
In Katrina, I learned today that they didn't receive mail for 6 months.
Yeah.
So sending stuff, unhelpful. But if you know people, one of the things you can do is either gather money for them and then get it to them, or find organizations that you want to financially support, but you go to them. Definitely don't respond to an email, an unsolicited email, or a phone call.
Yeah, even somebody calling you and saying, hey, we found your loved one here. My mom almost fell to that scam before, where my cousin was in, I don't know, it's like Puerto Rico or something, and she got a scam call saying, hey, he's been hurt and we need money at the hospital. And it all sounds real legit. They even sometimes have a first name, right? Or they can sometimes get information, little bits of information to make you believe, and they're really good at manipulating you. So it's really, really important that you talk directly as you can to people. I mean, Jackie and I have almost been scammed many times because these people are good at it, and you have to slow your roll, as we say, and just really be mindful. Okay, look, I need to get this to a good place. I need to do a good thing here. And rushing never helps. It's like if we jumped on the highway right now and drove down to Florida, we might be causing unnecessary traffic if everybody did that. And the rescuers and the people who really need to be on the streets right now can't get through because we're causing, and that's happened. So again, just be mindful. We want to encourage your heart to help, obviously, and it's so wonderful. We're one of the few countries like that, that it's just amazing how people in the United States help. It really is. It's always blown me away.
Well, for sure. And so on the back side of this, these are the things you can do right now. If you're not already part of these organizations, we've talked about that, but there's some really important things about what not to do. And some of this comes from a former police officer who was in Slidell, very near New Orleans at Katrina. And so just, a little shout out to Jason and Michelle Bettis. Thanks for talking this morning. But really, he was helpful in saying, look, definitely don't just show up. Please just don't show up and get in the way and cause more problems. Again, he in fact said that we have procedures in place and they're not perfect, but they do have the teams to go and to look for the people and to try to rescue who's there and who can be rescued. Because the first few days really are search and rescue. And sadly, it does become a recovery effort, right? Sometimes you come across people who weren't rescued or didn't survive. And so these things have to take place first. All of this recovery is in stages. And once you get past the life stage where you're looking and doing the search and rescue, at the same time, really, you're trying to get the roads passable. Okay, so because you can't get supplies into people, you can't get food into people and water into people. Even the linemen have to wait for the roads to be passable. And we've seen on TV the lines and lines and lines of road traffic full of linemen who are ready to get down there and get these 2 million people back their power. Yeah. So definitely don't go unless you're part of a team, an established team that is already, a lot of them already on their way, right? Yeah. They're not going today. They left last weekend in preparation. Yeah. One of the other things Scott, I think, brought up the other day was, look, when you're going down there just trying to be helpful and you're taking up a hotel room, you're taking a room away from someone who's been displaced. Or maybe you're taking, search and rescue teams, you're taking other volunteers places that already have the need for those rooms. So be patient and wait for an opportunity that makes the most sense for you. We really did talk about also not sending money. Just be careful about where you send the money. Don't do it in an unsolicited sort of way. And importantly, you've got to be patient. These folks down here don't have communications right now. It's like the post-apocalypse down there. Yeah. They don't have cell towers. They don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have methods to communicate. And it may be days before they can. So not only when there's people like me, and of course everyone here knows my family, when we're waiting to hear from them, it's hard. But thankfully we had a network of people who were able to even go to their house and find out. Understand that if somebody is hurt, okay, and they're receiving emergency medical care, there are protocols and ways to get a hold of you if somebody has been hurt. You will get that information. So sometimes no news is the better news. And then the worst case scenario, if somebody is passed, you're going to get that information as well. If a body is recovered, you're going to find that out as well. So in these interim days where we're just waiting and hoping and praying that our family members and our loved ones are okay, it's important to be patient. Then you've got the support families, okay? You've got the wives or the husbands of people who've gone down, the linemen or linewomen, I suppose, there are those two. The search and rescue teams who are going down, and the family and friends that love and support them, because we know that bad things happen when you go into those situations, because you just don't know what you're going to face. But it's important for those folks to also remember that the supportive role is hard, but to be very patient and to just wait for them to get back in touch with you. Sometimes satellite phone is really the only way to communicate, and there aren't a lot of those as I understand.
Yeah, and like Jackie said, I think one of the things that we don't think often is, like insurance adjusters, a lot of them are sent down out of their normal area, maybe out of here to go down there. They're gone for a month, and their family's kind of left hanging. And what used to be a 2-parent job maybe is a 1-parent job right now, or grandma's taking over and helping out. And those are really, really tangible ways we can help the process that don't seem like it. Sure. We don't feel like we're down there, we're here. But those are really cool things you can do. And hey, I know John had to leave or Jane had to leave and she's going to be down there for a month.
Right.
How can I support her family? How can I help them out?
Perfect. That's perfect.
First responders are, they're gathering up first responders from all over the place. And so those guys get displaced for 30 days, 15 days, 10 days, whatever it is, but that's still a load on that family that's left here. So it's a good way to look for opportunities there if you're really looking for opportunities. And, one other thing I thought of as Jackie was talking is, I remember during Katrina, a lot of people opened their houses here for people to stay. And because these people are going to be displaced. I mean, if you had a house in Fort Myers,
you don't anymore, probably.
It's really kind of a scary situation. And that, they may be displaced for months and a year or so. And those are opportunities, but again, you have to be really careful. You have to be very on your guard, and unfortunately, because there are Unfortunately, in every disaster, it brings out the best and the worst in people. So you're going to have the best people and you're going to have the worst people. Just be mindful, be careful, be vigilant in everything you do, and just make sure, always help. Don't ever hear us say don't help.
But do it in a way where you're not jeopardizing yourself or your finances. You brought up a good point. Again, Jason and Michelle, thanks again for talking today. But one of the things they said was these people are called storm chasers. And no, not the meteorological kind that are chasing, tornadoes and hurricanes, but the predators who are looking for an opportunity to have you pay money up front. They said that's a big red flag. Do not pay for services or work to be done up front. You pay as you go, use common sense about that. But these, for example, I'm thinking these pool cages, right? I mean, We've seen them all. Some of them were okay. Some of them are partially destroyed. Some of them are just completely wiped out. Well, you don't want an alligator in your pool either. So everybody's going to be, once they can, they're going to be looking for, they're going to be on their phones, or once this all is back up, they're looking for someone, for a company who will come and fix or replace their pool cage. And it's, first of all, that was a hot demand item before the hurricane. Now that afterwards, and there's so much destruction from just pool cages, you are going to encounter companies who are coming down to take an opportunity. And there are some who are legit and who are going to want to come down because it's a good money-making opportunity. And then you're going to have those who say, I see a way to scam people. I'm going to get this job started. It's a $10,000 job. We wish a pool cage was that, but let's just, for round number's sake, say $10,000. How about you pay me, $5,000 and I'll get started? That's usually a red flag, okay? And then what I learned today was that what will happen is they will promise the start of several projects, and once they think they have enough money, they've scammed enough money, they go on to the next community and just do it again. So just be very wary of that sort of situation. One other big danger that I learned of today was this. If you've got a fallen tree, or a partially fallen tree, or it's fallen but it hasn't broken, apparently this is a very dangerous thing. I don't know much about this. I think you probably know a lot more about trees like that. But Jason was saying that people will, not knowing really what they're doing, go to cut the tree, and it's like a loaded spring. And the tree will fall on them, or it will spring. But it creates a very, very dangerous situation. So make sure that you operate within your skill set.
Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier. Stay in your lane. Don't become a lumberjack because you can go to Lowe's and get a chainsaw. Chainsaws are incredibly dangerous. I mean, I use them all the time, have most of my life. I'm very comfortable with one, but I'm telling you, the number of times that it got dangerous with a leaning tree or, this kind of situation. So, yeah, stay in your lane. Just because the need's there, don't go too far out trying to do something that you've never done before, because there are repercussions to that. Like she said, I mean, I've seen a tree that was knocked over spring back up because of the taproot, and you took off a couple branches and all of a sudden it stood up and you're like, what the heck just happened? So, I mean, crazy things can happen, but like you said, you got such pressure on that. When you cut it, it can snap in your face, cause all kinds of problems. So many people die of that kind of stuff, doing stuff after a disaster that they just didn't know how to do. They're trying to hook up their generator that wasn't hooked up, and they get shocked. They run their generator in their house. Those kind of things that we hear about, nightmares. They leave candles burning all night. Just be mindful. Don't stay in your lane. Ask for advice, ask for help. There's plenty of people who are going to help you. Right.
If you don't know, ask for sure. Michelle, thank you for also chiming in and saying, this is going to be difficult, but watching the news media will make it more difficult. You're going to see the worst of the worst. That's part of it, right? The viewership goes up when you can draw people in. It's just like clickbait on the internet. Just be careful what you're watching. If you're looking for loved ones and waiting to hear from loved ones, it's better to really temper how much media you're watching, how much news, how much time you're spending on doing that, because it can really be upsetting, and you can suffer, sleepless nights and foodless days. And so be cognizant of how much time you're really putting into watching the media and watching what what the worst of the worst is. And not to say don't watch the news, please, watch the news, but just be mindful of your own mental health and emotional health as you wait to hear the news about loved ones.
Yeah, especially in that case, if you haven't heard anybody and you're just watching this videos, you're just going to be it's a nightmare spot because you're going to be thinking this is the worst thing that ever happened. And again, this was a horrific storm. Nobody's minimizing that.
Oh, for sure. But we really just, instead of taking our platform and talking about some legal issues, which I'm sure many, many legal issues will fall out from the storm and the things that we've even talked about today, we just wanted to take the day and really push this and say, look, we know there's a lot of people who want to help because we have a heart to help. I want to get in a car and drive down there. I won't, obviously, for very many reasons, but it's our heart. And I think a lot of people share that same desire. And so instead of just sitting here feeling like your hands are tied, we wanted to give you a method and a way and an avenue to help where you can, and then to make sure that you avoid creating some situations that make you more of a liability than a help. So importantly, let search and rescue do their job. Okay, if you're not already on the team, that's okay. Let them go down there and do their job. Connect with a company, connect with an organization that's already doing that, and find out how you can help through them rather than just going on your own and trying to help that way. Make sure that you, if you give money and donate money, that you do so through reputable organizations and not through unsolicited emails or phone calls. You go search, you go find the companies that you want to connect with. And if you have a family that you want to sponsor, whether it's friends, family, whatever, and you have a network of people that you can ask for money and ask for financial support, collect it for them, and then you're able to send it to them directly. And then there's no fees and there's no organization to get in the middle of that.
Yeah, for sure.
On the backside, don't just show up. Please do not. It's definitely a don't. Don't just show up and make it worse. Again, do not send supply. Don't try to send anything. The mail's not going to run for a while. Just wait and be patient and connect with these organizations who are already in place and doing this. And remember that the first thing they have to do is search and rescue, and that's looking for life. At the same time, they're trying to work on the roads to make them passable so these linemen can get in. And I know some are already in there doing their jobs. And then comes the infrastructure. I assure you, there will be ample opportunity for you to assist. This is going to probably take years. It's a huge number of people impacted, a huge part of Florida impacted. There will be opportunities for you to help. Just look for the ones that make the most sense and are reputable organizations who are already established.
Yep. And again, remember that little key. Make sure when you're on the internet looking up that organization, you're actually getting the organization, because there are a lot of phishing schemes, and sometimes you can tell by the way their website is put together. You can see things. Other times it's really difficult. Some people are really good at it. They mock it completely. And so just try to be careful. You might want to make a phone call. Hey, I'm on your website. I'm looking at this. I'm wondering about that. There's ways to screen it a little bit the best you can. I mean, you still in the end may get ripped off, and it happens, but do the best you can not to do that.
And be patient. Be patient for your friends and family who want to reach out to you as soon as they're able, but communications just aren't allowing that yet. The Wi-Fi, the internet, power, water, all of these is cellular service. And I know they're working hard to restore cellular service for just this exact reason, but be sure and be patient, whether you're waiting to hear from a loved one who is down in the storm, or you're waiting to hear from someone that who's already been deployed down there to work and in some sort of service-connected capacity. Just be patient and wait for the right time instead of panicking and calling for well checks. I know that's difficult to do, but inundating the 911 services down there for a well check because now you're worried that your service-connected person isn't responding is only going to clog up time and resources that really should be directed elsewhere.
It seems like such a good idea. Just remember, we understand it seems like a good idea. I can just call the police and get a well check. Well, they're dealing with search and rescue and everywhere else, and it's they're gonna get through everybody and they're gonna do their job. They have a system, like Jackie said, in place. So us calling and doing that just again clogs up for people down there who have a specific need in a moment and they really need help, and the lines are overwhelmed and the service is down. The infrastructure's been destroyed. So it takes a while, like Jackie was saying. So just be patient and do the things that are helpful. It's really hard.
Look, we will be back with more of our regular podcasts. If you have questions or insight or information you want to share with us, we're happy to share that as well. We're at info@cclawva.com. Happy to hear from you and look forward to seeing you on our next podcast.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of What to Do When. For more episodes, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, and we encourage you to check our archives to listen to previous topics. Tune in next week for a new episode and some fresh perspective from Critzer, Cardani.